Yo, what's up, Iron Nation? Jim here, and today I'm giving you the brutal truth about how giants are built. Do you train to failure? Do you destroy yourself in the gym every day? What I'm about to show you goes against everything you were taught in the West. Soviet weightlifters set world records that still stand today, more than 30 years later. While America was grinding to failure and chasing daily PRs, the USSR invested billions into sports science and analyzed thousands of elite athletes over 4 decades. Leonid Taranenko won Olympic medals from 1980 to 1992 at age 36. Rudolf Pleifelder competed in the Olympics at 36 and in his 80s was still doing jump squats with 200 lb. Here's what doesn't make sense. These guys looked monstrous, 300 to 340 lb of functional muscle. And they built it doing the opposite of what Western bodybuilders were doing. No high-rep pump work, no training to failure, and no isolation exercises. Yet they got bigger, stronger, and lasted decades longer. So, what did the Soviets know that we didn't, and that the rest of the world still doesn't? If you live the bodybuilding lifestyle like we do, hit that subscribe button and join the Iron-Built Nation. The Soviets discovered that lifting with 70 to 85% of your max, not going heavy every day, and not grinding reps actually builds more muscle. Yuri Vlasov, an Olympic champion, did 6 to 9 sets of singles and doubles, heavyweight and low reps. But here's the trick. He always stopped before failure. Research showed Soviet lifters did 68% of their work in that 70 to 85% zone, and only 5% above 90%. Plus, they trained multiple times per day, 6 days a week, without burning out. How? They used something called grease the groove, doing pull-ups and push-ups 5, 6, 7 times throughout the day, but never to failure. Just perfect reps. That way, the volume adds up without the fatigue. Their training looked like complete chaos. One week they did 200 total reps. The next week, 80 reps, then 160. There's no smooth progression like we use, just massive jumps up and down. All right, this is a 3 to 4 day per week program, but you're also doing a 10-minute bodyweight circuit every single morning. Soviet coaches like Nihat recommended 5 to 6 sets of 2 to 3 reps at 80 to 85% to build both strength and technique. So you're going to start your week with barbell back squats, 5 sets of 3 reps at 80% of your max. If you squat 300 lb, 136 kg, you're using 240 lb, 108 kg. You could probably do 5 or 6 reps, but you're stopping at 3. Rest 3 to 4 minutes between sets for complete recovery. After squats, you drop the intensity and move to Romanian deadlifts, 4 sets of 6 reps at around 70 to 75%. Again, you're not pushing anywhere near failure. You maintain perfect form on every single rep. The moment your technique starts to slip, you're done with that set. Then pull-ups, 5 sets of 5 reps, weighted if you can handle it. The Soviets did massive amounts of vertical pulling because they knew real back thickness came from heavy compound pulls. That's Monday. 3 exercises, you're done. Wednesday, bench press is your main lift. 5 to 6 sets of 2 to 3 reps at 80 to 85%. Heavy weight, low reps, and stop before failure every time. Then military press, 4 sets of 6 reps at 70 to 75%. Lighter than your main lift, but more reps to build volume. Finish with dips, 3 sets of 10 reps. Dips were so important in Soviet training that they were actually an Olympic event at one point. Friday starts with deadlifts, 3 sets of 5 reps at 80% of your max. Heavy, controlled pulls with perfect form. But notice you're keeping the total sets lower here. Just 3 instead of 5. Here's why. Deadlifts are incredibly demanding on your entire nervous system and your lower back. The Soviets understood you can't beat yourself up with high-volume deadlifting the same way you can with squats. After deadlifts, Move to barbell rows. 4 sets of 6 reps at 70 to 75%. Same bent over position as a deadlift, but now you're building back thickness without the same spinal load. Then chin-ups, 5 sets of 8 reps. You're using slightly higher reps here compared to Monday's pull-ups to accumulate more total back volume. If you need a band for assistance, that's fine. If you can add weight, even better. And here's the optional finisher. If you want to develop explosive pulling power, add clean pulls, 3 sets of 5 reps at 70%. Olympic lifters use these constantly because they build fast twitch fibers and teach your body to generate force quickly. That's Friday. 4 exercises, maybe 5 if you add clean pulls, and you're done. That's your entire training week. Now here's what really separated Soviet athletes from everyone else in the world. Every morning before breakfast, you do a 10-minute bodyweight circuit. The Soviets called it zaryadka, which simply means morning exercises. And this wasn't just for elite Olympic lifters. Radios broadcast these routines across the entire USSR. Factory workers did it before shifts. School kids did it before class. Soldiers did it in the barracks. It was woven into the entire culture. Here's what you do. 3 to 5 rounds with minimal rest, 10 to 15 push-ups, 15 to 20 bodyweight squats, 8 to 10 pull-ups, and 15 to 20 sit-ups. Rest about 60 to 90 seconds between rounds. The whole thing takes 10 minutes. But here's the absolutely critical part that most people completely miss. This should feel easy. You're working at roughly 50% of your maximum capacity. If you can crank out 20 push-ups all out, you're only doing 10 here. If your max pull-ups are 15, you stop at 7 or 8. You never train to failure in these morning circuits, just perfect reps with complete control. This is Grease the Groove in its purest form. High frequency, massive volume, and zero burnout. Once or twice a week, you also add plyometric work based on Yuri Verosansky's research, the Soviet scientist who literally invented plyometric training in the 1960s. Box jumps, depth jumps, explosive push-ups, 3 to 5 sets of 5 reps with complete recovery between every set. And this is important. These are not conditioning exercises where you're trying to get winded. These are pure power drills. Power requires full nervous system recovery, so you rest a full 2 to 3 minutes between sets. So what I just described, that entire training, week with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's your structure for week 1 and week 2. But then week 3 and week 4 arrive, and this is where things get interesting. You're doing the exact same exercises, nothing changes there, but now you're spiking the volume. You add 1 or 2 extra sets to every single exercise. Your squats were 5 sets, now they're 6 or 7. Your Romanian deadlifts were 4 sets, now 5 or 6. Everything gets more sets. Then week 5 comes, and this is where most people think they messed everything up, because week 5 looks like you're barely training. You drop everything way down, just 2 or 3 sets with lighter weight. It feels like you're barely doing anything. You'll want to do more, but don't. Your body needs this easy week to recover and get stronger. It's not wasted time, it's how the system works. Week 6, you go back to the normal plan, but now you add a little more weight. If you were using 240 lb, 108 kilos, now you use 245 lb, 111 kg, or 250 lb, 113 kgs, just a small jump. The Soviet system works, but most people ruin it in the first month. Here's how. Mistake 1. Training too heavy. You see 80% and think you can handle 85 or 90%. No, the percentages aren't suggestions. They're based on 40 years of research on thousands of elite athletes. Going heavier doesn't make you stronger faster. It just fries your nervous system. Mistake 2. Skipping week 5. This is the biggest one. Week 5 feels easy, so people think it's pointless. They either skip it entirely or modify it by keeping the weight heavy. Week 5 is the program. That's when adaptation happens. Your muscles don't grow during workouts, they grow during recovery. Skip the deload and you'll stall within months. Soviet coaches understood this. Western lifters still don't. Mistake 3. Adding extra exercises. Where are the biceps curls? What about abs? The program is simple on purpose. 3 to 4 exercises per day, done perfectly. Every extra exercise you add steals recovery from the main lifts. And the main lifts are what actually build muscle. Mistake 4. Training to failure. The Soviets never trained to failure. If you're grinding reps, shaking, barely completing the set, you're doing it wrong. Soviet lifters stopped 2 to 3 reps before failure on everything. They built strength through perfect reps, not by destroying themselves. Failure creates fatigue, and fatigue kills progress. It's that simple. Mistake 5. Skipping the morning circuits. I'll just do the 3 main workouts. I don't need the bodyweight stuff. Wrong. The morning circuits are 30 to 40% of your total weekly volume. That's where a huge chunk of your muscle building work happens. 10 minutes every morning, not optional. Mistake 6. Not resting long enough. The Soviets rested 3 to 5 minutes on heavy lifts, sometimes longer. Power and strength require full nervous system recovery. Rest until you're ready, not until the clock says so. Mistake 7. Trying to progress faster. Week 6 arrives, and instead of adding 5 lb, 2.2 kg, as the program says, you jump 10 lb, 4.5 kg, or 15 lb, 6.8 kg, because you feel strong. That works for exactly 2 cycles. Then you hit a wall. Small jumps compound over time. Adding 5 lb every 6 weeks puts 40 lb, 18 kg, on your squat in a year. And you can keep doing it year after year because you're never overreaching. The Soviet system works if you follow it exactly as it is. The moment you start optimizing it or adding your own ideas, you're breaking what made it effective in the first place. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 7 mistakes you're making right now. I love hearing from the Iron family all over the world. So remember, you don't build legends by hiding from hard work. You build them by fueling your body, training like a savage, and staying consistent when everyone else quits. Stay strong, stay relentless, and I'll see you in the next one. Iron Built Nation.